The Writings of Philosopher Prince Israel Zaar. Title: Leadership or Dominationship. I now read, isn't dominationship prone to the demonization, dehumanization, or trivialization of the being or humanness of others? Don't the dominators think they are better and everything else is worse? Or that only they are civilized, moralized, culturized, and humanized than anyone else? Isn't the concept of dominationship the fallacies of human misunderstanding and the distortion of the meaning of life itself, that one humanity, being, or group can purported be allowed to exert its infinite authority, agency, autonomy, and control over others without any objection or guiltless ambiguity to its outrageousness or incongruousness? Dominationship in the long run affects the TEF, trade, energy and finance, technology, education, and the future. It affects commerce, human development, human long-term governance, and consistently threatens a stable future. Support not dominationship, for it can only bring the worst of humanity in the long run. What became upon the being, or what befell a being or a spell upon itself, to nurture an unsurpassed quest to dominate, subordinate, and subjugate others while leading them on the contrary, with respectful consent, can be that effortless and peaceful? Isn't it a choice to lead others peacefully or dominate them coercively? Isn't the choice instead for thee to lead and dominate yourself, instead of coercively imposing thyself and will on plausibly unwilling others? Isn't the price of domination the innocent blood of others and a loss for a generation or two or more to come? Isn't dominationship negatively disruptive, disrespectful, and unstable, while leadership is positively constructive and predictably or sustainably stable and conducive? Isn't leadership and dominationship always a viable and sought-after alternative? That dominationship is hardly the will of all, but the imposition of a particular self-serving interest group, or the will of conscientious superior others. Isn't passing on the doctrine of dominationship to the young a recipe for feudal existence and future resistance or future conflicts in the making? Aren't humans born to dominate instead of lead, but taught, nurtured, educated, raised, trained, and civilized to lead, to listen, and to be persuasive or debatable or palatable or convincing? Aren't dominationship-type humans constantly wasting their future and destiny in perpetual endless wars, PEW, of wastefulness, and servile slaves of ideology, SSI, inflexible and closed-minded or narrow-minded in their thinking and understanding of the true world? Isn't the doctrine of dominationship born out of the doctrine of apism? Free thyself from psychology of dominationship and embrace the psychology of consensus-driven leadership, CDL. In leadership, everybody corporates. In dominationship, there is always resistance. Dominationship wastes resources to quell resistance that unfortunately fuel further crises and perpetual future unrest. Humans are elected or appointed to be called leaders, not dominators. Aren't you the legitimate leader? Can you be one or pretend to be one? Why pretend to be a leader when leadership's responsibility is all for the good of its purpose and functionality of its description and objectives? Instruction follows structure. Aren't you born to lead others, not dominate them or threaten their will or punish their objections? Knoweth thee now the difference between leadership and dominationship? Isn't it true that leadership creates friendships while dominationship breeds animosity, enemies, conflicts, and wars? You can only impose thy will for that much until humans rebel against. Reasonable humans do not like dominationship. They prefer leadership, the understanding of consensus building, then the doctrine of obliteration or comply, DOC. Why impose when you can imprint? Why dictate when you can persuade? Why infuriate when you can uplift? Why fight while the world can listen? Why in perpetual conflict when you can seek reciprocal lasting consensus? Humans fight with themselves thinking they're fighting with others. Humans destroy themselves thinking they're destroying others. Humans hate themselves thinking they are hating others. Humans hurt themselves, their interest, their health being, wealth being, and well-being thinking they are hurting others. The projection of power is the absence of power. The humility of leadership is the wisdom of sustainable, irresistible energy, SIE. You're the best that you are seeking in others. The dominator soon enslaves its mind. This is philosophical, not empirical. The wisdom of Zaarrianism, USA. American philosopher Prince Israel Zaar, March 22nd, 2026. The background video is Trianglerism, Immersive, Inventive Art. Hope you enjoy listening. Leave a comment and subscribe.